Good evening, I'm Rob Coles. Dan and Laura have the night off. Thanks for joining us. 2 years ago, the Greenwood fire raged through 26,000 acres in northern Minnesota, destroying the land and homes. Researchers at UMD's Natural Resources Research Institute began to wonder just how devastating that fire would be for local lakes. Northern News Now's Madison Green spoke to a researcher who recently set out to answer that question.
The real motivation for the study was seeing all the images in the media from the Greenwood fire.
People fighting the Greenwood fire have been hard at work all week, especially so during the last 24 hours when the fire made its rapid spread.
KBJR6's Kendall Jarbo is live in Finland near the incident command base.
Chris Philstrup is a lake and stream scientist with the Natural Resources Research Institute at UMD. In collaboration with Michigan State University and the University of Montreal, the Greenwood fire sparked the idea to conduct the largest study of lakes in response to a single wildfire in the country's history.
So we studied 15 lakes that were in the impacted zone or the Greenwood fire burn zone across gradients of wildfire severity and also extent of the burn area within watersheds.
The group of 20 field scientists took 4-liter samples from each of these lakes from May to October of 2022, about a year after the fire. By comparing these samples to ones taken from 15 lakes outside of the burn zone, Philstrup and crew could determine the wildfire's impact on lakes' water quality.
What we were looking at primarily are nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, and we saw that the most severe wildfires could increase phosphorus concentrations in these lakes by twofold.
These levels of phosphorus typically lead to algae blooms, which are harmful to humans and animals. But Philstrup says because of the murkier water from excessive mineral deposits, they didn't find any blooms in this study. But the high phosphorus levels can still classify the lake as impaired, meaning it should not be used for any recreational activities like fishing or swimming. Although Minnesota is seeing an above-average year for the amount of wildfires, DNR leaders say not all of them will be devastating to the land.
Most of our fires are relatively small in size. That limits their impact or their effects. Even if we have a half-acre fire that burns very intensely, just because it's small, it's less likely to have some of those larger impacts that you might see with a fire like the Greenwood fire from 2021.
Small fires or not, Philstrup is still looking for answers to the big questions.
We know there's these short-term impacts the year after the fire, but we don't know if we extend this out 2, 3, 4, 5 years if we're going to see those same impacts.
Philstrup's research team has already been selected for funding on a follow-up study. They plan to return to the same lakes over the next 3 years, testing for any possible long-term effects. But even the short-term findings can have a lasting impact.
These lakes are going to change. So the lakes that we know now may look very different in the future. And what we're trying to do is generate the foundational information that can be used to help manage these lakes in a changing landscape going forward.
In Duluth, Madison Green, Northern News Now.
DNR leaders say one positive impact of wildfires is that it often helps revitalize forests in following years.